Okay, Taner Rabbanan. It's the bottom line of Kufav Amid Aleph. The rabbis taught in the Brisa. Netilas Yadayim l'chulin. When you wash your hands before you eat chulin, you assume it's the bread of chulin. Other perek. You have to wash until perek. Rashi says on the next page. Perek Hasheni Shebemtzatz Bais. Good morning. It's the second perek, so it's I don't know the names of the knuckles. If they have different middle knuckle. In the yeshiva we call it the middle knuckle. Okay. Litruma. For truma. Ad haperek. Until the joint. Rashi says it's perek hashlishi. It's this joint here. It's these knuckles. This is what we call the knuckles. You know.
Okay.
Kiddush Yadayim v'Raglayim b'Mikdash ad perek. Also ad perek. But the only thing is, this is perek ha'el yain, which is chibur hayad l'zoyer, Rashi says, which is this joint here.
106.
The wrist. Yeah. We're on 106b now. Now we have this halacha, very important halacha. V'chol davar shechaitzis b'tefila b'guv chaitzis b'netilas yadayim l'chulin. Anything that's chaitzis for tefila, it means all the laws that only the women know about going to the mikveh. That's chaitzis b'netilas yadayim for chulin. Same thing as when you're washing your hands for chulin, you have to have all those halachas. The nails need to be cut, and all of those. Isn't that incredible?
Why are you washing your hands for chulin?
Oh, so we're washing our hands for chulin, either because of the takana, that it's similar to truma. We made a. Did you do that already?
Yeah.
Did you mention that before? That srach truma. What's srach truma? And srach truma is because you might end up mixing it with truma or whatever. What does it say srach truma? The ones that oichle truma should always wash their hands.
Why do you have to wash your hands to eat chulin?
Yeah. So the Gemara said before srach truma.
So do you have different problems if you mix it with bread?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
No, well, a kayan might confuse his.
No, we're talking about bread.
And then the Gemara says that it's mitzvah l'shmei derech chachamim.
Yeah,
Right,
you were talking
right.
about bread. We're not talking about
Bread. The only other possibility is that it could be we're talking about fruits.
There you go. That's what I'm asking about.
Right. But fruits are the same because fruits could be truma. Truma is grain, oil, and wine. So any of those. So why don't we wash our hands before we take a drink of wine? Right. That's the question. That's because there's always a keli there. So. But anything that you would eat with your hands.
Doesn't the Ramah paskin that we should wash before Kiddush? I think so.
Oh, that's so interesting.
the yakish.
Before
the
it takes-
Right, the
yakish
yakish shemina is to wash
to
before.
wash before the.
Even though that seems to be a machlekes beisel beishamai, right?
Yeah, they do that.
Okay.
Outside the house once. They wash before Kiddush.
And then wash your hands. Yeah,
No, they don't only wash once.
that's what the Ramah says.
They wash before Kiddush and they go into the Sivan and they say Kiddush.
Okay, so we said that anything that's chaytzitz by tvila, immersion, is also chaytzitz for netilas yadayim, for chulin. Uba kiddush yadayim v'raglayim b'mikdash, and the same would apply to washing your hands and feet in the temple. Amar Rav. Rav, let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to have Rav and Shmuel. We're going to have Rav and Shmuel, and then I believe we're going to have a statement from Rav Sheshus, which is down here. Rav Sheshus is a grad student Is there such a word, a grand student? Rav Huna's student is Rav Sheshes.
It's a generation.
He was always protecting Rav Sheshes. He always says, Kadnayim v'shachat. When it says Rav was asleep when he said that, that's always Rav Sheshes that says it. Okay. Rav says, Ad kan l'chulin, Ad kan l'truma. That it's the same. Ad kan l'chulin, Ad kan l'truma would mean that for truma you have to wait, you have to wash until here. That's the same for chulin. Until this third knuckle. I think that's the pshat. Although it's going to be interesting in a moment. The Shmuel Amar Adkan Bein l'chulin Bein l'truma l'chumra. Did Rab say Adkan l'chulin? No, I'm sorry. Rab said Adkan l'chulin, Adkan l'truma. Where did we say chulin is? This middle knuckle. So therefore that's where truma goes. Shmuel says no. Adkan that we do l'chumra. Bein l'chulin, bein l'truma l'chumra, that we go until here. That we have to wash until this knuckle. And Rav Sheshes Amar Adkan bein l'chulin, bein l'truma l'kula. So this is the pshat. I didn't understand this before. What the first statement is, Rav is following the brisa that you have different measurements. You have here for chulin, here for truma, and then he doesn't mention washing the hands and feet in the temple. But Shmuel and Rav Sheshes have the measurements are the same. Just Shmuel is more machmer. He says you have to wash until here for both, and Rav Sheshes says that you wash until here for both. Leniently.
We washed the whole hand.
Yeah, we wash the whole hand. I guess like tefillah, I don't know where it comes from. According to, even if we'd go like Shmuel, it was machmer, but it only, at least according to Rashi, it's only until here. Unless maybe there's other unless there's other Rishonim interpret other parak differently. That must be the pshat. Okay. Amar Bar Hadiyah. Bar Hadiyah said, I was always wondering about Bar Hadiyah. Bar Hadiyah was mentioned in Brachas, the dream interpreter. You know, I always thought he was a bad guy. You remember the dream interpreter in Brachas?
You pay him, you
pay him, you get good.
But he got cursed.
And then
He got cursed after.
what do you
Somebody
mean
was
cursed?
unhappy.
One of the
unhappy
Rabbanim got a
client.
bad interpretation. He cursed him afterwards when he found out.
Oh yeah, that's right. So Rava didn't pay him, and Rava's wife passed away because of his dream interpretation. He said his house is gonna cut. He dreamt that his house fell down or something. He says so that means that his wife is gonna die. And Rava was very upset about that. You know, he said he forgave him for everything else except for that because it was Rav Chisda's daughter. Anyway, here, if it's the same person, it's interesting. Havikuyimna kami de Ravami. Bar Hadiyah says, I was standing in front of Ravami.
Not Parhedia?
That's how it says over about Hidya.
That's how they write it?
Yeah.
Bar Hadiyah?
Yeah.
Okay. He was standing in front of Ravami. Here. If it's... Okay, how's that going to work? He was clearly in Bavel, right? This Bar Hedya, because he was interpreting Abai and Rava's dreams. So he must be a generation down, but Rabami lived in Bavel before he moved, so that would make sense.
Maybe he saw him in his dream.
He was in front of Rabami. Va'amar, and Rabami said, Ad kan bein l'chulin bein l'truma l'chumra. He went like Shmuel. Says that you have to wash until here, l'chumra, for chulin and truma. And he says, V'leitema Rabami mishum dekayanu. We're going to have that again in a moment. I just want to mark this down. Don't say that the reason why Rabami did this was because he was a kohen and he actually ate truma as well, so he was strict. But other people know. Don't say that. The Rav Maisha bar Bered Rav Yeshua ben Levi hu levoi. because Rav Maisha, who's a grandson of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, who happened to be a Levi, he says the same thing. So don't say that the reason why he was strict and he washed his hands until here, according to Rashi, because the lenient opinion would be here, would be the middle knuckle, and as opposed to the joint that joins the fingers. So don't say it's because he was a Kohen, because we find someone else that's a Levi that did the same. Amarav. Noiteladam ishtei yadav shachris. A person is allowed to wash his hands in the morning. And he makes a condition that this is the washing for the whole day he's going to eat. The only thing is that he needs to be careful that he doesn't touch anything, he doesn't get his hands dirty, get his hands tummy. Because he won't be able to touch his shoes or things like that, or scratch his head. Amalahu Rav Avina Libnei Paksa Da'arvas. Rav Avina told the people of Paksa Da'arvas.
It says in the English here, as far as the wrist is concerned, that Shulchan Aruch paskins we should go up to wrist because that's what the Rif says. And then it says, however one does not have sufficient water, we can rely on Rashi's opinion, which is up to the knuckles.
Excellent.
At least we know where we can.
Excellent, thank you. That's great. Now the question is, how does the Rif get that? Because the Rif must learn it different than Rashi.
It says, but when Rashi agrees to if your hands are dirty, you go all the way up to the Rif.
Oh.
That's funny.
Oh, it's interesting.
When he says you wash in the morning and you don't need to wash all day,
Yeah.
does that include if you're eating bread or anything else like that?
Yeah, that's what it means, yeah.
So does that mean, according to
That's
him,
interesting.
it's a
So that
bracha,
means
it's a
asking
suffix
is not
bracha,
just for
if you wash in the middle of the day for bread?
It's also physical cleanliness.
No, because you're not careful
That's
with
the
your hands.
innuendo here from Rashi.
Although, if you were careful, there would taka be a suffix, yeah. What do we do if we go to the bathroom right before we eat? It says, one of the sources says that you can just wash once, and you say on the Netilas Yadayim and then Ashiyatza, like you do in the morning. On Netilas Yadayim and then Ashiyatza. But I don't think we do that. I think what we do is, we wash, and we say Ashiyatza. Now the problem is, how can you wash again and say a bracha? Your hands are clean already, you just wash them. So they tell you to touch your shoe and then wash again. That's what I was taught. Okay,
She asked the question here.
I don't see it over here in the
To
Rif.
the Rif?
Okay, what is the question?
No, the Rashi asked, why do you need a stipulation? Why do you have to have a stipulation? As long as it's
Yeah, what's the
clean.
masna, right? You just have to keep it
Just
clean.
have to keep
So
it
what's
clean.
the pshat?
He says that it seems here, Rashi infers from this that washing requires kavana, and thus washing one's hands for bread is valid only when it's performed with the intent that the washing render the hands tough for eating bread.
Wow. Okay. Very good. In the world, they don't understand. They're like, I just clean my hand, just wash my hands. They say, no, you have to wash your hands for bread. So I just wash my hands. I said, no, it's not enough. According to this Rashba, it's not enough because you have to have intent that you're cleaning it for. Based on this masna. Yeah.
It's interesting if you watch the minhag of this father, the way they wash. I mean, you see mamish kavana because you do one, you do the other, you rub them. You have to leave a little bit in your hands. They raise the hands of Shemayim. There's a whole. It's much more intricate than the way we do it.
Right. Actually, we're supposed to do it like that as well.
I didn't say we weren't.
They just probably emphasize it more.
Well,
But we also need to rub, and we also need to have the water and
we also need to do it from a keli.
from okay, that we're going to see today. Yes. So he tells the people of
Keli, lama.
B'nai Paksa Da'arvas, the people of Paksa Da'arvas. That's a Purim thing. No, she said Keli. Esther said Keli. Lama Zaptani. That was her chapter.
Yeah.
Psalm 22 is Esther's. he tells the people that from this country that they don't have a lot of water. He says, "K'goy natun," like you, people like you, that you don't have a lot of water. Mashi yadaychem mitzafra, wash your hands in the morning. Va'asnu alayu l'kula yayma, and then you can make a condition for the whole day. You didn't have a lot of water. This is what they would do. Washing the hands was very important. We know Rabbi Akiva, remember, when he was in prison, he didn't have water to drink, but he used half of his water to wash his hands. Right? Yikad amri b'shas adchak in, shlei b'shas adchak loy. Some people said that what Rav Avina told to Bnei Paksa was only because of shas adchak, that they were allowed to do this. And that would mean upliga de Rav. He argues on Rav. Rav said l'chatchila you're allowed to do this. Wash in the morning and have in mind for the whole day. V'ikad amri, and some say afilu shlei b'shas adchak, even if it's not a shas adchak. Nami, you're also allowed to do this. V'haina de Rav, and that's exactly Rav's opinion. If I would work in a kitchen, I would for sure wash in the morning. And how do the caterers? They must wash in the morning, and when they're finished for the day, they bench. No, in the kitchen the whole day, tasting the things. Yeah, I'd have to do it like that. Okay. Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa says, "Hi Arisa Didal." Rav Papa is down here. Is a student of Rava and Abaya, according to this chart. We know he's a student of Rava, also Abaya. Rav Papa says, "Hi Arisa Didaloi." Okay, the Harisa Didaloi was some sort of water channels that you would have to take water from the river in a bucket, pour it into this this channel, and this channel was this irrigation system that would take it out to the fields. So it would just flow out to the fields. You would have to pour it into this, and then it would go. So as it's flowing, you can't use it to wash your hands, even though someone poured it back over there. Someone poured it back over there, but it's not considered koyach gavra. It's not considered someone poured it anymore. Rashi says that the koyach of the shayfech is already stopped, and now it's traveling on its own. So, but if you would bring your hands close to the source of where the person poured it, then that's okay. The kasem mikayach gavra naitlem menali yadayim. Over there you can do netilas yadayim. In other words, it depends where on the channel you're putting your hands. If it's close up to where the person poured it in, that's kayach gavra. You need the person to pour. This is what if you don't have a cup, we use a cup. If you don't have a cup, so you wash your hands under a faucet. So they turn it on right away and then turn it off, because when you leave it to flow, it's not your doing anymore, right? If you turn on the faucet, it just keeps going. It's only the first turn that gets the water out, that's the kayach gavra. So that's similar to what's happening here. V'i bezia davla b'kainas mashka. Here it's interesting. Let's say that they would take it from the bucket from the river and they'd pour it here. If there's a hole in the end of the bucket, in the bottom of the bucket, so that's as you're lifting it up, there's still a stream of water attaching the bucket back to the river. So Mela Flayev, I think means is attached. Umatbel bas yadayim. Now it changes the expression. Instead of netilas yadayim, you can do tvilas yadayim. You can dip your hands in the water. Now, normally, in order to have iruv mikvais, in order to have mikvais to get attached, you need kishviferes hanayid. You need to have a circle of the radius of the circle needs to be 2 fingers, so you can turn all the way around, right? You can turn all the way around. So, in other words, if you ever go into the mikveh that has a bar hashaka, that has a bar on the side, or in a Chabad mikveh that has a bar on the bottom, So that's considered hashaka. Hashaka means kissing. The waters are touching. The waters are connected. So how big does the hole need to be for the waters to connect? So it was always two. It says everywhere. Shofars hanait is like a tube that the two fingers can turn all the way around in it. So it needs to be that, basically the diameter of 4 fingers. So, and over here you don't need that. For some reason, over here you don't need it. I'm not sure why, but Rashi says you don't need the shofar sanait. In other words, what we're saying here is that this is all considered like the river. Just like you can dip your hands in the river, you can dip your hands in this. Why? Because it never was separated from the river, because even when he lifted it up, there was still a stream coming down from the end of it. The water was always attached. Okay. Ve'amar Rava. Who's just said this? This was Rav Papa said that. Keli shenikav b'kainis mashka einaitel men leyadayim. You can't use a keli that has a hole in it to wash your hands. So how did we say before that you're using this? It must be because that wasn't Netilas Yadayim, that was Tevilas Yadayim. We weren't, on the contrary, we weren't looking for a keli. We were getting rid of the keli because of the hole, right? We're connecting it to the river. Ve'amar Rava, Rava also says, keli she'ein by revius, einait men liyadayim. A keli that can't hold a revius. How much is a revius? 3 ounces, according to Reb Chaim now, right? Here, this chart probably has our... do you use this one?
3 points.
Revius is 2.5. Oh, he's lenient. 2.5.
What's that, the chazan?
2.5 what?
Ounces? Fluid ounces.
What's a fluid ounce?
I think a l'chaim cup is an ounce. We measure everything by l'chaim cups, yes.
Okay.
That's very lenient. Okay. So, if it can't hold a revius, you can't use it for, like, let's say that's all you had, and you only have these little cups. You can't use it for netilas yadayim. Ha machzik. But if it can hold a revius, afagav the lesbe, even if there is no revius, loy, you can't use it. It's a kasha. I'm sorry. Let's do this again. Eini, I skipped. That's the problem. Eini, is it really so? Va'amar Rava, keli she'machs revius ein neitman liyadayim. You see, Rava's first statement was a keli that doesn't have a revius, you can't use to wash. Rava's second statement is a keli that doesn't hold a revius, you can't use to wash. Doesn't hold means that if it did hold, even if it didn't have, afagav the lespe, even though it didn't have. So the Gemara says, like kasha. It's not a question. Halachad halatrei. It depends. If it's your first revius or your second revius. Your first revius, it needed to have. But if you already washed someone's hands with it, then you used more than a revius. It originally had a revius plus. So you used it to wash one person. Now you're only left with the remnants of a revius, and you need to wash someone else. That's acceptable. This is very significant in the park or somewhere where you don't have enough. See, the first person for sure needs a revius. After that, you know, what I do always with the kids, if we just have a little bit of water, is I have them hold their hands out like this, and I pour over their hands. That way they don't have to do a separate pouring for the hands. Because you can pour over both hands. This I learned from Birkus Kainim. You can pour over both hands. The reason why we don't do this is because we don't have a third hand to pour over, so we always wash like that. But if you would have someone else washing for you, you can pour over both hands, and then you can use less water because you just wash over that. It still needs to touch the whole hand, but here it says a revius should be enough. Revius is enough for the first person. We even have less than a revius for the second person. So the Tanya, as it was taught in a brisa, may revius neitan liyadayim bli echad v'afil l'shnayim. May revius the water that's left over from a revius, you can use for Natil Shidayim, for one person and even for two. Okay.
When you're doing two people, it means they wash them together, simultaneous?
I don't know. Does it say that?
No, no, I don't. No, it doesn't.
He has a different shot, Rabbeinu Gershon. Rabbeinu Gershon has a totally different shot. Do you have the quarter of Rabbeinu Gershon there? Rabbeinu Gershon learns that for one person you don't need a revius. If you're washing two people, then you need a revius. It's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, do you see that Rabbeinu Gershon down here? On the side, if you have a Gemara that says like Kasha, this is Rabbeinu Gershon. You would have it. You have to see where it's right over here. Like Kasha, Lachad Halatrei. Rabbeinu Gershon is before Rashi. Rashi had a manuscript, a text of Rabbeinu Gershon's commentary. So, Amar le Rav Sheshes la Meimar. Rav Sheshes says to Meimar. Ara Meimar, I think, is a little bit later than Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes is up here. Ara Meimar over here is down here. It's probably a different Meimar. He asks, Kaptiso Amana? It's someone obviously senior to Rav Sheshes. He says, are you careful to have a vessel when you wash your hands? Amalei in. He says, yes. Achazusa, are you concerned that the water should be clear, that it should look like water? Amalei in. He says, yes. Ashiura, what about how much water there is on the measurement? Amalei in. He says, yes. Ikadamri, there are some that say, Hachi Amalei, that Amemar responded differently. He said, Amana v'chazusa kaptinan. He says, yes, I'm careful that there's a keli and that it looks like water. Ashira like kaptinan. But the measurement doesn't, I'm not makbedan. The Tanya, actually it corrects it here, the Tanan, it was taught in the Mishnah, Mei revius, the water that's left over from a revius, Naitan li yadayim, li echad, va'afilu l'shnayim. That you can use it to wash one person and even two. The Gemara says, V'lohi, but it's not so, because Shani Hasam, Mishum Dekasam is Shiari Tara. Over there, it's the leftover from a revius. So it started with the revius, then what's left over is fine. But just to say that a shiura like kapdinan, that we're not makbid about the measurement, no, that's not so. We are makbid on the measurement. It's over here you had a measurement, and you've used it down till it's not there anymore. So then, but we still accept that. Askin Rabbi Yaakov Minahar Pekoid. Rabbi Yaakov Minahar Pekoid. He's probably not on the chart. He says he instituted a natla bas reviyasa. Rashi says that it was made out of glass. It's called a natla, and it was used to measure everyone else's. It was a measuring cup, just to check to make sure everyone's cup had a reviyas. So he instituted one that would be used to measure everyone else's. Askin Ravashi Behutzel, Kuza Bas Reviyasa. Ravashi instituted a kuza, which is made out of earthenware. Vamarava, a clay. I don't know. Rava says, Megufas chaves shetikna neitlemen liyadayim. You could take a lid of a barrel and fix it in a way you would need to scrape out the inside to make it into a receptacle. It was probably a little bit concave. It was a little, but you would probably need to scrape out that it should hold more. and then you can use it for netilas neitlmen liyadayim. You can use it to wash your hands. Tanya Nami Hachi was also taught in a brisa. Megufas chaves shetikna. Neitlmen liyadayim. It's even taught in a brisa that you can use the cover of a barrel. Chemas ukfisa shetiknan. Chemas and akfisa are types of leather flasks. Leather. What are they called? Just the flask. There's a term for it.
Skein. S-K-E-I-N.
Oh, really?
I think is the word.
A skein. Okay, great. That you fix them. I don't know what you would need to fix about them, but you would need to. I don't know what you have to do to it. But if you fix it up, you could use it to wash your hands as well. Sak v'kupa. It's interesting because those things are probably, you squeeze them the wrong way, it loses its shape. Nevertheless, maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you need to make it that it should hold its shape. I don't know. Sak v'kupa. Now these are a sack and a box. These are not meant to hold water. Afal pisha mekablin, even though they can hold water if they can, ein leitzmem liyadayim, you can't use them to wash. Ibailu, Gemara has a question. Ma'al lechol b'mapim michashin dilma naga eloi. This is what we say. We're going to use a bag or a napkin to hold the bread when we're going to eat, so that way we're not going to touch it. This is what they would do in the camp.
When you
When
travel.
they were on a trip,
Yeah.
they didn't have water for all the kids on the bus, so they said, "Okay, just keep it in the bag."
Right.
So here the Gemara asks, "Are you allowed to do that in your eating? But do we suspect that you might end up touching the food anyway?" Of course, the kids do. They touch the food no matter what, right? The little kids, it's majority waste. It falls on the floor. Okay, Dilma Naga Elai. Tashema, so come and listen. Ukashinasnu Laila Rab Tzadik Eichel. Pachis Mikabetza. They gave Rab Tzadik, this is a Gemara Sukkah, they gave to Rab Tzadik food to eat less than an egg size. Noitlei b'mapa, he would take it in a cloth, va'eichlei chutz l'sukkah, and he ate it out of his sukkah, ve'ein mevarich acharav, and he wouldn't say a bracha. Now, my love, what's the reason here? We're assuming hakabeya, that if it would be an egg size, even though he was eating it in a cloth, by netilas yadayim, because